As you know, Republicans in Congress have been pushing to pass the SAVE Act, which is a bill that is going to disenfranchise millions of Americans by requiring proof of citizenship when you register to vote. And quite frankly, millions of people don't like millions of American citizens don't necessarily have like easy access or just readily available access to their proof of citizenship. Many people lose these documents and or just don't like have passports. And the thing is, to get these documents or replace these documents, it costs money. It takes time. It's not very efficient. And you are just essentially disenfranchising these people from voting. And for Americans who happen to have these documents, well, over 5 million to be specific, Americans who have these documents are still going to have to drive over an hour to an office to actually present these documents to register to vote. I can't stress this enough. If you actually care about election fraud, which in the US is a made up issue to begin with, you would do something like automatic voter registration. You would make the process for replacing your proof of citizenship documents or your ID fast. It would be free of charge. It would be accessible. And then if you want to have if you want to require an ID to vote or whatever, go for it. But remember, the biggest thing that I want to stress to you here is this isn't a problem to begin with, and Republicans know that. So this is just a blatant attempt for them to disenfranchise voters, because it always shows when there is lower turnout in elections, that is when Republicans typically win. Let's get into the full article about this breakdown. SAVE Act would mean long drives for millions of American voters. More than 5 million voting age Americans would have to drive an estimated hour or more to present their citizenship documents to register to vote, as would be required under the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility SAVE Act. Why it matters. President Trump is pushing the SAVE Act as necessary to secure future elections, but it would complicate voting for many American citizens. The SAVE Act would require people to present documents in person to an appropriate elections official to register to vote, effectively killing online and mail-in registration. Folks, voting should be as accessible to the American voters as possible. Okay, if you had a real argument and could show real statistical evidence of widespread voter fraud, then we can have the conversation and we could do the solutions that I provided earlier. But there is no widespread voter fraud or election fraud. It's statistically insignificant. We're talking point several zeros to 3%. Okay, like, Jesus Christ. Let's see. What we found, the average American lives about 20 minutes by car from their nearest election office per an Axios analysis. Those are country or municipal offices that manage voter registration and voting. That's without factoring in traffic. For rural Americans, it would, in Western states, that more than doubles to 49 minutes. At the extreme end, in the continental U.S., Apache County, Arizona, residents have an average drive of 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yes, but the SAVE Act doesn't define who counts as an appropriate elections official. Exactly what that means would have to be determined, says Eliza Becker, Deputy Director of the Voting Rights and Elections Program at the Brennan Center. States may include other locations such as motor vehicles, departments, or polling places. Friction point, getting there is just one problem, said Matthew Whale, Vice President of the Bipartisan Policy Center, a Washington, D.C. based think tank. A lot of them don't have regular office hours. The office being open during any kind of reasonable hours is going to be another challenge. For the record, President Trump's Save America Act is common sense legislation supported by the vast majority of Americans, including 90% who support voter ID, who want to ensure our elections are secure and that only American citizens vote in American elections, White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said in a statement to Axios. The SAVE Act is stuck in the Senate, but several Republican states are pushing similar measures covering their residents. So, Yeah. Regarding the 90% support, and I don't know if it's necessarily 90%, but I know this issue does poll relatively high, and I think that comes from how these questions are framed to the American people, and also just how, like, maybe just a misunderstanding, a lack of like a full understanding of what this actually means. And I don't think people, a lot of people realize that there just isn't election fraud. Like, there is no statistical voter fraud. The Republicans' own Heritage Foundation has only tracked 1,620 instances since the 1980s out of hundreds of millions of ballots cast. This isn't an issue. Your own think tank, like, these are the authors of Project 2025. They can't even prove large numbers of voter or election fraud. It's not a thing. It is not a thing. It is a made up problem that doesn't exist. It is the textbook definition, a textbook example of manufacturing outrage. This bill institutes basically a poll tax, which is unconstitutional. It's going to screw over married people, or married women, to be more specific. If they had their last name change, it's going to screw over trans people. It's going to screw over working class Americans who just don't have the time or money to drive an hour to one of these places to present their documents or to even get their documents in the first place. It's like, I just I don't understand how more people don't understand this. I think Democrats are doing like an okay job at like pushing that messaging, but obviously it's not enough because people still think that this may actually, indicated by the polling, that this is actually a good thing when they don't even realize that it could probably disenfranchise them. So again, the biggest takeaways here: there is no statistical voter fraud, so this is completely unnecessary. The 5 instances a year of voter fraud that you might stop is going to come at the cost of millions of actual American citizens being disenfranchised from voting, and that is what they want. Anyways, that's all I have for this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.